I don't think you can understand any period of time without understanding its art. I think historically it's essential, and then hopefully personally it's essential. I always cringe at these lists of, greatest singers of all time, greatest albums of all time. But they're fun. Who doesn't like to make their own list, as long as you don't feel like you're speaking for anybody else. But since this is 2017, it is the 50th anniversary, I just happen to have my original mono copy of Sgt. Pepper. Very proud of this. Whenever they do those lists, it's like, okay, Sgt. Pepper, and then what? It's like greatest guitarist of all time. Okay, after Jimi Hendrix, now we can start fighting. It doesn't mean it's the best album of all time. All Beatle aficionados would say this is not their best album. But everyone would agree it's the most important album, because this changed the way everybody thought about rock records. That it was the songs blurred together, and when they didn't, there was just a microsecond of silence between them, so it was just like one curtain closing, this other curtain opening, taking them on this fantastic trip through, Indian ragas and Benny Goodman clarinets and strings and harps and avant-garde, A Day in the Life, swirls and, just every kind of music you could imagine seemed to be on here. Lucy in the Sky, Through the Looking Glass, just fabulous. And rock and roll, there's only 3 songs that have a hard rock guitar. It's almost like rock and roll has become, by this point, one of the styles they can choose to use. I mean, they've so transcended being a rock band. We are a rock band, therefore we play 2 guitars, bass, and drums. No, we don't. We have orchestras, we have, whatever we want. They thought we're thinking more like composers. And you get even the album cover, can be a work of art. Why should the album cover just be a photo of us waving? Let's make it a work of art, a pastiche of all these people that we admire, all the members of the Sgt. Pepper's band who helped the lonely hearts like us get through life. And now, why not open up? It's not a double album, but hey, we're the Beatles. You want to spend a few extra million, you'll do it. And the lyrics might even be important enough to have on the back cover for the first time. So it just felt big. This is the first album they made after they quit touring. And they were very conscious that they better come up, if we're going to say we're not going to tour anymore, we're just going to concentrate on music in the studio, we better come up with something big. My son stole my pet sounds, my mono pet sounds. He's not getting this. They're going to pry my mono Beatles out of my cold, dead fingers. But they took my pet sounds. But I love that they wanted it. But Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys is always the number 2 pick for most important album of all time. 1, because it directly inspired Sgt. Pepper. The Beatles heard this album and went, oh my God, this is better than Revolver. This is better than anything we've done. We've got to somehow top this. And that is what set the bar for Sgt. Pepper. That's what's so great about the 60s. Rubber Soul set the bar for this. Brian Wilson heard it and went, oh my God, Rubber Soul's amazing. I got to top that. Everybody's listening to everybody else and trying to outdo each other. And Beatles heard this album with this incredible orchestrated pop music with not just violin, they'd used that in Yesterday, and not just French horns, but mixed with sleigh bells and bass harmonicas and accordions and just this insane juxtaposition of instruments. Brian Wilson was in the studio like a composer, just creating this incredible sound, and then these epically gorgeous songs. Wouldn't it be nice if we were older and we didn't have to wait so long? Wouldn't it be nice to live together in the kind of world where we belong? Or God Only Knows, open side 2. John and Paul both said it was the best song written by anyone, which is high praise. It's that song that Julie, my wife, and I played during our wedding service. I wanted a Beatles song so badly, but in the end, if you want to say I love you, God Only Knows is the only way to go. I may not always love you, but as long as there are stars above you, you never need to doubt it. I'll make you so sure about it. God only knows what I'd be without you. Of course, to this sublime climbing melody, it's like, oh. And then the album ends with Caroline, No. Where did your long hair go? Where's the girl I used to know? How could you lose that happy glow? You said you'd never change, but that's not true. It's like this beautiful song cycle about innocence. Wouldn't it be nice that opens it, and this disillusion at the end. I think everybody needs to go through their Pet Sounds period where it's the essential album of their lives and they just live with it. Anytime you go through a loss of innocence or a change in your life, it still drives me to tears. And then when I first discovered it, I just couldn't believe there's a music that said what I was feeling so strongly and so clearly. My favorite Beatle album, see, there's 2 different things. The most important But everyone, like I say, would probably say, yeah, but the best is Revolver, or Rubber Soul, or Abbey Road. I mean, you can't really, there's no wrong answer. But this is now, maybe you can pick songs out and go, I want to hear Here, There, and Everywhere. I want to hear Eleanor Rigby. I want to hear Tomorrow Never Knows. I mean, it's, you know, the parts are amazing. And they add up to this whole just by being so kaleidoscopic that by the time you're done with this album, it's like, Jesus, what was that? And this is 66. You know, this is when they're still getting ready to go on their next tour, and they had to just hurry up and write songs and get the album out. So it wasn't self-conscious the way Sgt. Pepper was, like we're making a great work of art that has to be our statement because this is big, we're not touring. This is just, we're still go out and playing baseball stadiums for screaming girls in a few weeks, got to get the album done. But they're at such a fever pitch of creation that they were just writing these masterpieces without really thinking about it, and or you know, overthinking it, just doing it. And George Martin and all the Beatles were just trying everything they could in the studio. The tape loops and Tomorrow Never Knows, and the string octet and Eleanor Rigby, and all, you know, everything. And John and Paul were just, you know, at the peak of their games, writing songs, but very different from each other. John doing these swirling, guitar-drenched, she said kind of things, and Andy Berkman singing, and Paul doing For No One, and Eleanor Rigby is kind of his classical period. And they complemented each other so beautifully. The ambition of this album is just sky high. So this gets my nod for favorite album. My son stole my double album Blonde on Blonde also, but 66, God, what a year, you know, 66. Dylan, Blonde on Blonde, jeez, you know, incredible masterpiece. Just, you can't believe the human mind can create songs like this. It just keeps going. Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowlands, Visions of Johanna, Stuck Inside a Mobile with the Memphis Blues again, the ragman draws circles up and down the block. I'd ask him what the matter was, but I know that he don't talk. The ladies treat me kindly, and they furnished me with tape. Deep inside my heart, I know I can't escape. Oh, mama, can this really be the end? To be stuck inside a Mobile with the Memphis Blues again. The cracked bells and washed out horns blow into my face with scorn, but it's not that way. I wasn't born to lose you. I want you. How does the human mind come up with something like that? The imagery is so cracked and fractured in these horns talking to you, and then the rhymes are so wonderful too. The words are just spilling all over each other, and you just get lost in the sheer sound of the words. So damn it, he deserved that Nobel Prize. He got the Nobel Prize in Literature. Who would think? A rock singer. You don't pick up a guitar saying, I'm going to win a Nobel Prize someday. And, you know, there's no body of work on the planet that can rival his. If we're having 5, this makes 5. You'll notice it all within 2 years. But to come out of 67, Rolling Stones' Beggars Banquet is, you know, Sgt. Pepper was sort of it was a masterpiece. It's like the Sistine Chapel. You go in there, you go, oh, it's like untouched by human hands. You can't believe human beings created this. And you walk out of there, if you're an artist, going, now what? What am I going to do? What's anyone going to do? Even the Beatles came to think that, how do we follow Sgt. Pepper? Start writing orchestra music for 50 people to hear, you know, what do we do? And the Stones helped everybody find their way back. They come barreling out with Jumpin' Jack Flash, the single that preceded this album, and said, you know, rock and roll has some life left in it. And, you know, Keith comes barreling out with his riff, and Jagger, you know, barreling out with those lyrics, and Charlie Watts, Bill Wyman, that great swinging rhythm section. You can always dance to a Rolling Stones rock song. You know, you can't dance that well with Paperback Writer, I'm sorry. You know, a lot of Beatles songs are not dance tunes, but the Stones, you put out even their heaviest songs, Brown Sugar, Jumpin' Jack Flash, Get Off of My Cloud. It's great dance music. Try it at a party. People will dance. So, and they did with this album what they were always so good at. They were mining America. They were rediscovering country music, rediscovering blues, bringing it back to rock and roll, but not trying to sound, you know, ancient, trying to sound like 1968. Here's a way out of the cul-de-sac that Sgt. Pepper seemed to be. And it kicked off their great career. If you know the Stones, it's like Beggars Banquet, Let It Bleed, Sticky Fingers, Exile on Main Street. When the Beatles were breaking up, the Stones deserved the title they got, which was the world's greatest rock and roll band. And they kept everybody honest. You know, you hear the last Stones single, you better rock. You know, you better remember what you're here for. And I don't know, I just think between the Beatles, the Stones, Dylan and the Beach Boys, you have this sort of sphere that just keeps rolling, but always rolling uphill. And it was fabulous, just fabulous.